Do you have a measuring tape? No.
This is fresh water, right?
That's what we do. How long it is? Okay, 5 spans.
Good idea. I know how to count like this.
Flour? Oh, okay. Oh. No, you can do that, but the time thing is not energy saver. Oh, I need that. Energy saver. Energy saver. Energy saver. It's plugged in, right? It's now. Also, this one, are you making sure? No, I did that. That's more for
Some things.
Should I get one with bars? these people will be so happy because Swamiji did that.
Still not around, huh?
No, well, I didn't look any further. There's too many recording.
This one is on? This mic?
Doesn't need to be Swamiji.
Oh, because it's not connected to what's its name? So my audience are two computers who are very close to me. There are a lot of people are not here. Who else is not here?
Lori, Dottie,
Yeah, Dottie is not here.
is out of town.
Kate is out of town. Yeah.
Sheila.
Sheila will come. Yeah. Somebody has signed as hugs and kisses.
Yes.
That's what, no? The O
XO.
and yeah. Very nice. Lots of love to whoever you are. Yeah. Something has to be done here. I don't know what to do.
Oh,
What should we do? Is it already on?
Soon dance.
Because it shows a big.
No, it's going, Swamiji. This is you right here.
But then why is that?
Because that will give the repeat. That's
Oh.
playing at the same time. But
So
now
it's
Swamiji
already
can
on.
chat. Yes. Swamiji can chat by typing and with people, and they can write to Swamiji right
No,
now.
I'm not going to chat with anyone. I'm going to chat, yes. You
but
know?
they can chat with Swamiji.
Yeah, they can chat later if they want. It must be the same people signed on here also. Same, they do that. How are you?
Very well.
Very well. And you? I missed you yesterday. Good. Your health is okay?
I'm here.
You're here. That's important. That's good. Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Now let's see what this brings. We're talking of different kinds of vairagya. You know? Vairagya, what is that? Just to make sure we're all on the same page. What is vairagya?
Letting go.
Huh?
Desire
Dispassion.
management.
Yeah, desire management, dispassion, and compassion, everything. Yeah, because when there is dispassion, compassion comes. Yeah. That which comes after dispassion is called compassion. New samasa. New compound. Yeah. So, so we are looking at his model. It's a model. He presents a twofold dispassion springing from the desire to let go, and then the other one springing from the desire to know. And in the beginning, let go and know, those are two different things, very interesting. So the desire to let go comes from being sick of the surroundings, heart sick, physically sick also, and we saw all the different conditions. Rajya Bhrashta, the person who's lost his job, lost everything. So a person who has lost the job cannot say, I have given up the job, correct? The person who has lost the job and is on a round of, what is that called? Useless interviews. Each interview, nothing is coming out of this interview, In fact, that fellow's view is getting narrower and narrower, yeah. And that's why, it's called interview. In between, enter in between, this between jobs. His view is getting narrower and narrower. His, her complete, what's the word for it? Complete loss of confidence, all these things. And then the person doesn't feel like going to the next interview because what's the point, right? The person comes to the conclusion, I don't want a job, right? So it's the desire to let go. This is what it's called. Dirgharogi. Dirgharogi means every day one new complaint. New complaint. Today headaches, the next day body aches, third day something else. And it's not that the headache goes and then the body ache comes. Headache is already there. That is the Tanpura in the background. That's the chorus. And that refrain is there. Tanpura means, there are certain instruments which are tuned to the frequency of the voices of the singers, and they have they are the background. They keep the concert grounded so that it doesn't go all over the place. And so they have that important job, such certain instruments like that. And so the headache is still there. On top of that, a new symptom has come, and then that new symptom now has become old. The next day, one more thing has come. So like this is called Dirgharogi. Every day, people who meet such a person, quickly duck into the bushes because you don't want to find out. You don't want to ask them, how are you? This is, how are you, which is a casual opening conversation opener, here becomes a conversation killer because really speaking, you don't have the time to find out what they are doing. So you see them coming, you see them shuffling or limping across, and you quickly duck behind the bush if one is available. Or you suddenly remember an errand which is in the opposite direction. So this is what happens. Dirgharogi, Rajya Bhrashta, and then what else we saw? Paradhina, under somebody's thumb always. Like these are subjects of dictatorship or dictatorship at home. These are the people. Paradhina and Adi Vyadi Piditaha is afflicted in so many ways. There was a fourth one also. What was the fourth one? Hatashriya. Oh, how could we forget that? For whom all the, from whom all the riches have gone. The riches have gone from whom? Meaning the riches were there to begin with, correct? Yeah. So these are Hatashriyaha are those who are suddenly impoverished entities. Yeah. Bank was there. Bank is continuing to be there. The account is not there. That's all. Bank, nothing, no problem with the bank. Correct? Account is not there. Account has been siphoned off by something out of their power. So Hatashriya. So similarly, like the person, just like the Dirgharogi, similar to the Dirgharogi cannot say, I have given up sweets. Somebody who is, constantly sick and cannot eat sweets cannot say, I have given up sweets. That makes no sense, correct? I have given up lentils, like I cannot say, I have given up gluten. I may like to, but I cannot say that. There is no vairagya here. It is jihasa, very different, correct? And similarly, the one who is suddenly impoverished cannot say, I have given up all desire for money. I have given up all my money because there is nothing to give up, Just like the begging person, the person who doesn't have anything except from other than a begging bowl, cannot say, I am donating everything that I have. I'm auctioning my begging bowl for charity. It makes no sense. So this is not dispassion. This is, this is a form of dispassion, but it is not arising, not springing from a conscious and a concerted reprioritization of one's, pursuits and one's desires in order to know. It's not that I'm making room for the vidya, for the knowledge. And in order to make room for the knowledge in my busy life, there are certain things that have to go. Because no and go combine, they rhyme, and they always are combined together. In order to know, something or the other has got to go, starting with the mind, and meaning things, the way I see things, yeah, I'm saying it in a good way. So that's why it's called manonasha, So everything has to go. We just don't broadcast it in the beginning because we want to continue to have a following. So already so few people for Vedanta, and if you are on the if you are on the drastic, what is that? If you are emphasizing, kathora vairagya, drastic vairagya, meaning you say that, if you want to come to class, leave your clothes outside and come, that is the way to leave the attachment for the body, leave everything outside. Don't even leave even your body outside, just bring the mind. If we do this kind of a thing, then what will happen, the Veda, and now we can talk about what to call it, Vedanta attrition rate, now we can talk. But if that was there is no problem of attrition because nobody comes to begin with. Yeah. So one good thing is that there is no attrition. Why? Because there is nobody to begin with. Simple. Attrition is only when people come and then they stop coming. Here, nobody will even come. If you advertise like that and you put it in all the cafes, only the dispassionate ones need apply. No one will apply. So therefore, this is kind of, that's why he's making a point to show these two tracks of Vairagya and to show that this is Sahaja. It naturally happens, like the classic example is the fox and the grapes. Jumping, 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 jumping. The grapes are slightly out of reach. So too in life, the effects of the sweet karmas done in the past seem to be slightly out of reach. What comes is the bitter karma effects only seem to be coming all the time, and the sweet karma is nowhere to be found, the sweet karma phala. And so I'm always, elusive, jumping. And then what does the fox say at the end? I don't want the grapes. Why? Because they are not sweet, they are very sour. Who wants sour grapes? This is not Vairagya in terms of wanting to have the knowledge. These are grapes of wrath. There was a book written like that. So this is what it is. So it is coming out of the frustration of not being able to catch the grape. That is why, the fox has a gripe about the grape. Correct? Yeah. So too in human affairs, so the Vairagya comes naturally, but comes from a feeling of being, it accompanies a natural divestment of power, privilege, money, health, etc. And then you feel like giving everything up. That is something which is universally understood. And that is why Narahari, emphasizes this track, because otherwise nobody will come to the class if the other one was talked about alone. Because this is how we can relate to Vairagya. I can say I'm totally off food. Why? Because something I ate wrong and nothing I want. So I have Vairagya towards food. Why? Because, yesterday's dinner did not sit well. Simple, I have Vairagya towards money. Why? Because I don't have any. Simple. So like this kind of Vairagya, everybody can relate to. And he says both of them are valid, Not that this is invalid. This is a beginning, this is a kind of a churning with, which is universally felt, this Vairagya. And in this churning, what happens? I can make something out of it. If the Viveka, if the proper thinking is there, I can make something out of this, even grapes of, the fox.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So the foxy grapes also have a lesson to teach, right? And the lesson is to not, this is this is called a Viparita Drishtanta, an opposite example. It's like, what the moral of the story is to not be like the fox, correct? Yeah, is to not be like the fox and curse the grapes when something did not go one's way. And then if the fox and the grapes, if we appropriate it, because now this is in the common domain, as they say, Wikipedia, common domain, everybody can take it. Like happy birthday song. The people whoever it was that made this happy birthday song wanted to make money at everyone's birthday, and 7 billion people on the planet, imagine. There was some copyright thing. And finally, the court said, enough. You cannot, this happy birthday has now transcended ownership. It has become common domain. So now the story of fox and grape is also in common domain. It's no longer the property of the brothers Grimm. Okay? So, so now since it is in the common domain, we can appropriate it for our purposes. And so now the fox and the grape, has become a, what is that? Has become a Vedanta story. And in the Vedanta story, we can change the ending. Correct? So now there are two foxes and two scenarios with the grapes. In one, the fox has a gripe about the grape and goes away. We know this story very well. And in the next one, what happens? The fox comes back. And the fox sits in meditation. And the fox contemplates. Satapotapyata. The fox contemplates. Jnanameva tapaha. This viveka, this jnanam, not self-jnanam, but the jnanam of what this story has meant for me. What have I gained? Because in every loss, there is a gain. More about that tonight. So, in every loss, there is a gain. And what have I gained? The fox sits and thinks. Correct? And what does the fox come to the conclusion? This is a Vedanta conclusion. That, you can come to many conclusions. And these are all stages of growth. Maybe the grapes are not for me. Maybe something else is for me. Let us see. This is on the very baby level of growth. And then the next level of growth is no matter what I go after, it's all like the grape. You see, the jihasa vairagya is there. Jihasa means, abandon the grape. Yes, abandon the grape, but abandon everything that the grape signifies. What does the grape signifies? The grape signifies a sour samsara. Correct? Even if it is sweet, it is springing forth from everything finite. So, just like even the milk, if you leave it on the counter, it curdles. Correct? So, samsara is always in the present continuous. It's a curdling thing, where, the infinite, as though becomes finite. Why? It's never finite to begin with. It's my mistaken view of the infinite. When I look for the infinite in finite places, the curdling process has started to take place. So samsara is just a churning, a curdling of all my vain attempts, like the fox and the grape, to make something permanent. Even you may say, okay, I can make a raisin out of the grape. The raisin also is not permanent. Correct? Yeah. So this way, the second fox in now the Vedanta appropriated story, has the potential. This is the fox with the potential to harness the vairagya, harness the viveka, the common sense discernment. That last time also I was disappointed. This time also I am disappointed. So next time what am I going to be? Disappointed. So therefore I need a little, I need to switch the channels of my reality TV life. That is what I have to flip the channels, because this channel is a boring channel of dead end. Dead ends, and dead means, make a deadened jiva. And so this is why I have to switch the channel. And then when that jiva, the fox here, what is represented by the fox, switches the channel, then what happens? Then the possibility for pursuing the knowledge is there. And so that is why Narahari is obliging us out of his own compassion. The author in the Bodhasara, it is a very studied section. And what comes after it is also wonderful. I was thinking, okay, maybe after this we will start excerpting and, doing little excerpts No. This is so wonderful. We are going to do this, continue to do this. But for now, please understand that this vairagya that we are talking about is something that has to be there should be a kind of a universal experience so that one can look at one's life different. Because all my disappointments, everything comes under the first kind. Because he has covered everything, the joblessness, the moneylessness, healthlessness, wealthlessness, everything has been covered. And also being dominated by somebody else. All these things constitute, they are the raw materials. They are the yeast to make the right kind of dispassion rise. They are the quickening agents, the leavening agents to make the correct pursuit rise. The desire for the correct pursuit can potentially rise in the heart under certain circumstances. Because if you keep this in the fridge, the yeast, it's not going to rise, correct? Yeah. It has to be kept in a warm place. And so that warmth is that contemplation. The viveka is the warmth. The viveka in the basking in that common sense, understanding, and the ability to sift through one's experiences of disillusionment and disappointment, the desire for the knowledge and the desire for the correct form of vairagya has the potential to rise. And then the oven is the light and the heat of knowledge. The teacher is the oven, and there the risen dough is cooked. Yeah. Bread is self-knowledge, fruit, jnana phalam. Correct? This is what it is. So therefore, the Narahari, out of his compassion, is talking about jihasa a lot. Usually in the Vedanta texts, the jihasa vairagya is seen as what? Seen as something which is a lower form, and there is something higher, and you have to achieve the higher form. And then what? You have to look upon everything. Like the, what was that? Aparokshanubhuti, says that you look upon everything as a crow dropping, You don't go near, kaka vishta, crow dropping. Yeah. Like you don't feel like, nobody is a collector of bird droppings, unless something is going on wrong here. Nobody collects bird droppings and say, oh, come and see, this is from the finch, this is from the ordinary blue jay, this is from the crow, this one has migrated south, this one is extinct. Nobody has a collection of bird droppings. Because the bird dropping is avoided at all costs. In fact, before sitting under a tree, one looks, what is on top. You don't want this kind of blessing, correct? And so, in other texts, the desire to the desire to give up is talked about. Jihasa is talked about, but then one has to. There is no room for the growth into jignasa. It is assumed that one already has jignasa, that one has the ability before coming to the text, because that's why it comes in the 6th or the 7th verse in this particular Aparokshanubhuti that I'm talking about. In the 6th or the 7th text verse, it says, Prekshaniya muhurmuhu. Please keep looking at everything again and again. Muhuhu means again. What should I look at? Look upon everything. As what? As a crow dropping. Otherwise, don't study the 8th verse or whatever, the next verse. So there it is all assumed, And even in the Upanishad, it is assumed. Shanto dantaha titikshuhu bhutva virajanti. Virajanti means they leave everything. Viraga, viraja, same thing. So they get vairagya. Their vairagya is whatever. How? Because they have a resolved mind. They know what they are seeking, and this is what they are going to do. Simple. So the method is not explained, and here he is taking a lot of time to explain the method because he wants to reach out to everybody, because he knows that in every heart there is a potential for knowledge. In every heart there is a potential for knowledge. Every heart has room for Vedanta. Isn't that a lovely thing? Yeah. Every heart has room for Vedanta. And it's not that you have to call in the, what is that called? The jungle, the gardeners, and have it forcibly trimmed in order to make the room. Slowly the room is made, but the potential is there. That's why he's dwelling on Jihasa Vairagya as well. Whereas Jijnasa comes from a different understanding where the Vairagya is matured. How is it matured? Why is it matured? Why is it that with these people, they are still in the fox grape stage and the other ones are already, ready to come for the knowledge, no baggage, nothing. There's only one difference between the first type and the second type of jivas. The first type of jivas are learning right now. The second type of jivas did this very homework in other lives. That's all. So the gradation is not that one is, a superior variety. No. That's what we saw last time. Manushyam durlabham praptam. The main qualification for Vedanta is to be a human being. Are you a human being?
Yes.
Yes. That answer came very quickly. I'm very happy to get that. Yeah. I was not left in doubt. Even for a second. So, Manushyam durlabham praptam. It is difficult to be a human being. It's difficult to be a human being because, the karmas standing in one's account are so huge and so many. Very difficult to be a human being. Very difficult to gain a human life. And therefore what? So durlabham praptam, and he says kimarjitam asmavihi. And if one does not do what one is supposed to do as a human being, i.e. pursue this knowledge. Why you are harping on the knowledge? Because the point is, the end point of knowledge is to take refuge in Brahman, quote unquote. But I'm already in Brahman because there is nothing outside of Brahman. Yes, that is true, but do you know that? No, I don't know that. So what? So what means nothing. So what means business as usual. So what means samsara as usual. So what means continuing to look for the infinite things. This is what it is. And so therefore, here is a very important intervention that is made. And what is this intervention? The intervention is that I use my common sense to process my experiences as a human being, because this human life is a very precious life. Here is where I have a free will to pursue. Cat also comes and sits in the online class. That's because the master is sitting. The master goes away, cat will also go away. And so, therefore, I have as a human being, I have the ability now to be able to, sift through my experiences. That viveka is given, common sense is given, the ability to discern is given. I have to make full use of these abilities. And when I make full use of these abilities, then the first kind of vairagya, which is the default vairagya, has the potential to rise into the other kind. That, what is that? Jijnasa, desire to know. And the desire to know and the desire for freedom are related. Desire for freedom is called mumukshuta or mumuksha. And that everybody has. You ask anybody, do you want to be free? Yes. It's a universal yes. Nobody says, I don't want to be free. And hardly anybody will say, I am already free. Even if you say, if somebody says that, just ask a few more questions. Really? Are you free? Immediately they'll have a doubt. Well, not really. Because I can't do this. Do you want to be limitless? Yes. Do you want to be free? Yes. Do you want to be whole? Yes. And everybody, that is a universal desire. Now, what makes it particular to the human quest here, in terms of being relevant for Vedanta, is that I understand that this freedom is not gained by action. That's what it is. Freedom is not gained by action. What is it gained by? It is gained by Shravanam, by knowledge. This is a quantum leap. Really. One has to be in the twilight zone. It's a quantum leap. It's not an ordinary leap. It's not an ordinary, what's the word for it? It's not an ordinary, just a discernment. It's a quantum leap. That all the actions are producing, making me just trapped more and more because I don't like the results of action. So two options. Either I like what I get in return of the action. Yes, I like what I get. I earned this job, I earned this house, I earned this family, and that's wonderful. Is that wonderful? Yes, but I have to work hard to keep it going. Correct? Yeah. Just because you landed a wonderful, cushy job, so, that was because of the hard work. And imagine the hard work to keep away the competition, to always prove yourself, and to always make sure that you are on the top. And only after getting a few ulcers, you can say, okay, I have kept this going. But that is the karma phala here. Then you have to go to the doctor, correct? Because of the ulcer. And then you say, well, thank God I have the money to go to the doctor. But then, you would not have needed the money because you would not have got the ulcer in the first place. This is all backward logic, correct? Yeah, so, every action, even if I like what I get, I have to work very hard to keep it going, to retain it. If I don't like what I get, I have to work hard to get rid of it. Like a skin disease, you have to keep working hard. Go to one dermatologist and after another dermatologist and, each one's knowledge is skin deep. And so, and then you keep it going. That's all. And so, like this, one is in a severely compromised. The actions continue to compromise and continue to put a big cudgel in my means and ends. They put a wrench in my action. Yeah. They leave me wringing my hands in despair. What to do? So this is just despair, And then the despair has a name. And despair becomes prayer when this ringing becomes like this. Just the fingers have to slowly come out, each and every one of them. And then, so this is a act of surrender, namaha. Meaning my actions, these are the organs of actions, correct? Yeah. These are the organs of actions with which I, wreak havoc on this earth. And these organs of actions, they come together, first in despair, like, oh my God, I'm just wringing my hands in despair. And then slowly, like, is there anybody there? Who is this who is controlling all this? What do I need to learn from this? Help, This is Viveka. This becomes prayer because even the fact that my actions are not even controlling my life, let alone the life of the neighbor who I want to vanquish. But this is a great blessing. And this is the fermenting, what is that? This is the starter, for the fermenting starter for the correct vairagya to rise in the heart. The futility of action. That is what is talked about here. That is the quantum leap. Because there is otherwise no difference between jihasa and jignasa. Even they sound alike. The futility of action, differentiates jihasa with jignasa. The knowledge that action is futile is not there in the jihasa vairagya. In the first kind of vairagya is very much there in the second kind. That action does not lead to fulfillment. And so what? I can't sit quietly and do nothing. So there is obviously something wrong in the way that I am pursuing things. And so, in other words, I need help. And I need help to understand myself. I need help to understand what kind of actions to let go of. And so now the leap here has led me from a place of doing to the urgent need for understanding my life. And that is jignasa. You see the difference here? Yeah. And so that takes a little time. It is not there in the beginning. Just like bread, takes a little time. You cannot suddenly say, I'm going to make bread right now. Flat bread you can make because it doesn't have to rise. Chapati you can make. Yeah. You can make instantly. But to make that bread which is all fluffy and soft and, porous and it has to be planned. It has, like dosas. Dosas also you cannot make instantly. You have to grind it, you have to let it rise. And that ability to dwell on one's experiences and to, which culminates in the desire for knowledge is what is being. That's why the Jihasa Vairagya cannot be just poo-pooed and said, oh, this is nothing, this is the lower variety, I want the higher variety. Nobody will come to class. Yeah. Everybody who comes to Vedanta, somebody asked Swamiji once, Pujya Swamiji, is it true that only sad persons come to Vedanta? Yeah. That's why all the sannyasis' names sometimes. Sad Atmananda. How do you say it in English? Sad Atmananda. Sad Vidyananda. No, it's not that sad people come to Vedanta. Yeah. Sad people don't, it's not that. It's the people who have understood the helplessness connected to that sadness and have understood and queried that sadness to see that this is a universal human problem, which has to have a solution other than just mindless action. And they have come to seek that solution. Someone who has understood that. That is what the whole thing is. And so therefore, in the next couple of verses that we are going to study, the author praises Jihasa Vairagyas by praising the people who have them. And those people are historic people. We shall see that soon. It might be nice to chant a few verses so that we know where we are. Okay? Yeah. So we'll start chanting together from verse 6. Adhivyadhibhayodvega paratantryaadivarjitaha ye dhira muktimichanti shrunute shamayam kramaha kamadhenurgrihe yesham nivaso nandane vane kashyapādyās tapasyanti jignāsā mukhyameva tat ādhivyādhibhayodvega pāratantryaadipīditāha ye jīvā mokṣamiccanti jihāsā mukhyatā Manushyam durlabham praptam satchastrai samskrita matihi yadina brahma vishrantihi tadasmabhikimarjitam. Very nice. So, here, the notable examples of the second kind of Vairagya, which is Jignasa Vairagya, was already given. What is that? Sage Vasishta and Kashyapa was given already. So those are in forms of sages who gave up everything because they had the desire to know. They had already looked at their lives and their, experiences had gone through the thought fermentation process, giving rise to the correct form of Vairagya. And they went to their gurus in a leavened state, if not levitating state, and then they were able to immediately gain the knowledge because the conditions were right, So if you put an unleavened bread, in the oven, it is not going to cook properly. It's going to be a dense mass, Ajnana Ghana, means a mass of cooked ignorance. This is what it means. It has become even more dense, if possible. So, but these, students, in the form of the Vasishtha, Kashyapa, the notable sages, who have actually become the last names of the people in India because they have become the Gotras, the starters of lineages to which they are our ancestors. And so our notable and exalted ancestors, gained this through the proper, they had the proper conditions for this knowledge. And so they crossed over this samsara, which is a condition of the mind. So they crossed over this samsara, which is a way of looking at the Jagat, which is a way of looking at themselves, which is the wrong way of looking at Bhagavan, themselves and Jagat. They crossed over very easily. So then he has a querying question here before describing, he has 2 to 3 verses before describing the examples from the other kind of Vairagya who are also blessed. And let us see that question. Well, that one we have already seen. What is the use of having a human life? This one we have already seen. That is where we stopped last time. What is the use of having a human life if you are not going to pursue this knowledge? If you're not going to pursue this knowledge, may as well just, not be born as a little octoped, And so then he says, so how is he gives a very interesting example. How is this Jihasa Vairagya going to bless me? Even if I don't have Jignasa Vairagya, even if I don't have the correct form of Vairagya, I have Jihasa, how come it blesses certain people and certain people are still in the doldrums? This is a very interesting question. How come, everybody has Jihasa Vairagya, correct? Yeah, everybody has joblessness and bad health and whatnot. And so everybody is wanting to give up everything because things are not going their way. How come a minuscule few come to Vedanta and then, process it in this manner, whereas the rest of the people are out to lunch? Why is this? Is there a reason? And he says, it is not the cause of the other. It is not necessary that Jihasa Vairagya is the cause of Jignasa Vairagya. Frequently so, can be made so. But everybody with Jihasa Vairagya do not graduate into Jignasa Vairagya. What do? They just sit in the doldrums, correct? Yeah. And so what is the connection? Is there a connection? Is it true that everybody will graduate? No, they won't. And he gives a very interesting example which is a logic. We have 40 different kinds of nyayas, logic in Sanskrit, in ancient, knowledge. And what is this logic? Like we have seen some of those logics. What are those logics? Like Prathama Malla Nyaya. If you want to vanquish the reigning, if you want to be a champion, a wrestling champion, how do you do it? By vanquishing the reigning champion, correct? You don't have to fight with every single person on the road. So you vanquish the reigning champion, you displace the reigning champion, you get the title of the champion, correct? So that is one example. Then we also have another nyaya. What is that other one which we, Prathama Malla Nyaya, and then there is Dahali Deepa Nyaya. When the light is kept on the compound in between 2 houses, which yard does it illuminate? Both. Yeah, so like this we have certain logics. This one is called Kakataliya Nyaya. Kaka means, crow. Because it keeps saying ka, ka, ka. That's why it's baby language Sanskrit. Kakaha means crow. Because that's all it knows how to say. Very onomatopoeic. And so, Kaka Taliya. Taliya here means, Tala here is a palm tree. Taliya is the fruit of the palm tree. In other words, a coconut. Correct? Yeah. So, there is a story, there is a story where the crow was climbing or, flying around. And was sitting on the palm tree and or flying underneath the palm tree, something, the versions vary. And then what happened? All of a sudden, the fruit of the palm tree, in other words, euphemism for coconut, a hard coconut fell on the head of the crow, making it into chutney instantly. Correct? Yeah. So the crow became chutney. So then, was there a connection between the flying of the crow and the what? The falling of the fruit of the palm tree. No connection. The two are unrelated, incidents that just happened at the same time. So similarly, what do we call two instances that happen at the same time without any connection, visible connection? That means what? There is an invisible connection. And what is that invisible connection? Karma, Bhagavan, etc. So here, it's only the grace of the teacher, the grace of the Shastra, the grace of oneself, really. The kindness and the gentleness that one has towards oneself, that is very important. The grace of, Atma Anugraha means my own grace and my own ability to allow these teachings to come through. My own ability to permit the teachings to make room for the teachings. This is grace, right? And so this grace here is alluded to without really talking about it. Because we still are far away from thinking about Bhagavan, grace, etc. We are still, looking at Vairagya. And it's alluded to in a very nice verse. So let us see what it says. Ityevam vyavasayena Hyakasha phalapatavat Jignasyanti ye dhiraha Jignasa mukhyatatu sa. Yeah. So this, vyavasayena means this iti evam vyavasayena. Vyavasaya means nishchaya buddhi. So the ones who have a discerning mind and who have made that decision to learn, that decision to learn is without any apparent cause. Because everybody has jihasa vairagya. Everybody has helplessness, hopelessness. But to convert that hopelessness into this desire for knowledge, apparently is without cause. And without a visible cause. We have to add the word visible here. Without an objectifiable, discernible cause. Because the crow flying around and the coconut falling are two separate incidents, unrelated to one another, but they just happened here. So too, this jihasa in this person happened to flower into jigyasa. Why? Because there's a lot of invisible forces at work. The teacher has to come, and then the teacher coming is not a big deal. Teacher goes everywhere. Teacher coming is not a big deal at all. But the teacher has to be recognized as the teacher. I was with Pujya Swamiji once when one man came and said, I'm really looking for the teachings. And I have looked everywhere. I have looked high. I have looked low. I have not found a teacher. And I kept thinking, okay, now he's going to ask for the knowledge. He's going to talk to Pujya Swamiji. He's going to say something. No. He just said, I wonder, where my teacher is. So it needs a lot of grace. And what a thing. And what a thing to say in front of the greatest proponent of Vedanta. What a thing to say. Somebody other than Pujya Swamiji would have said, this is like a slap in the face. I'm sitting right in front, it's like sitting in front of Einstein and saying, where can I get some explanation of relativity? It's crazy, right? Where can I get a proper understanding of physics? It's like sitting in front of Newton and saying, I wonder what gravity is. It's like that. But Pujya Swamiji was very quiet and blessed the person. May you find your teacher. That's what it is. That's what greatness is. That's what Vedanta makes one. That's what the study does want to, makes one grow into. And so that's what the potential here is. And so the teacher is everywhere. Teachers are everywhere. You go to I went to some remote place, and even there, they had satsang, they had, they had a teacher, and they had a center. Of course, only 3 people came, but still, it's a center in a repressed country. Amazing. So the teacher is everywhere. Wherever you want, it is there. Teachers are everywhere. But to recognize that, okay, this is the person that I would like to study, or I want to study, and this person happens to be teaching, that itself is a big grace. And so, there is a lot of, what should I say, quantum leaps here. Desire for freedom converted to desire for knowledge, quantum leap number 1. Quantum leap number 2, desire for knowledge means I will not get everything apne aap. Apne aap means all by myself. Desire for knowledge can make you go to the self-help section in the bookstore and buy all the books. Upanishad as I see it, Upanishads modernized. Upanishad for the one who has no time. Upanishad for busy people, Like this, so many. DIY Vedanta, correct? So I can go and, browse in these kinds of sections on the bookstore or in Amazon.com, and then I can buy these books and help myself to the knowledge. No, this another quantum leap, that from reading, I'm not going to get this, I need something else. I need help, I need teaching, I need a teacher. This is itself a great, big thing. And then the teacher is there, I have to recognize that this is the teacher. And then it's not enough to recognize that this is the teacher. I have to, resolve my authority issues. To be able to submit to the teachings. You don't submit to the person. You surrender your, reasoning, wrong reasoning. You surrender the wrong reasoning at the feet of the vision of true knowledge of yourself. Because you agree with the conclusion, you just don't know how to get there. You have to give up the wrong reasoning. That's what submission and surrender and namaskar is all about. It's not that you are smaller than the teacher or anything like that. Another quantum leap. And in order to sit and listen, the surrender is not enough. I have to have an attitude of that what is being said is beneficial to me. That the self-interest of the teacher is not here. The teacher's only interest is to help me. This is called Shraddha. I have to understand that. And all these are, each one to other is a era, a leap of an era, a quantum leap. And when that fine mind comes, when that all these quantum leaps have been taken, and I am able to sit, I am able to recognize the need for the teacher, I am able to recognize the teacher, I am able to learn from the teacher by keeping my authority issues and psychological problems at bay, or taking the psychological problems to the therapist, which is where it belongs, yoga, whatever it is, processing, having the commitment to process my psychological issues and going to the teacher for knowledge. This is what, I have to do. All these are quantum leaps. And, and when you see a person ready for knowledge and pursuing the teachings, you don't see these connections. It's almost like the crow and the fruit, the coconut. The coconut and the crow, like, oh, what just happened? Crow sat on the coconut tree and the coconut fell? Of course not, but that's how it is. That's how it looks. It looks miraculous. But really speaking, there are many, colossal, Grand Canyon-esque leaps that one has made in terms of the cognitive growth, in terms of one's spiritual growth. And another problem with this teacher problem is that sometimes, people have one teacher. And because that was then, the place where I was at, I didn't know what I was looking for. Maybe I was looking for yoga classes. Maybe I was looking for meditation classes. Maybe I was looking for silence because I came from a family of 12 siblings and all I wanted was to just sit quietly. So then that led me to a teacher who never speaks. Some teachers are there. They sit in Maunam all the time. Bless their hearts. Wonderful. But in order to learn, I have to go to a teacher who knows how to teach. Who knows how to teach. No, but those munis sitting at the feet of Lord Dakshinamurti, he just did one sign language and they understood. The question is, to ask oneself is, am I like that? And if the answer is no, then that means I will not understand it just this. Yeah, that requires a lot of, sukshmata inside. One has to be, spiritually evolved to be ready to understand with the sign language. And sign language is what we know, but doesn't mean that he did not speak. This is the ultimate. That's all it was. The ultimate teaching was given silently. So, therefore, sometimes people choose. I'm just sort of giving some, scenarios. People choose teachers who don't speak and then want to be taught. This is a sad situation. And sometimes people choose teachers who are into seva, which is wonderful. Seva, without seva, this discernment and all doesn't grow, and the desire for knowledge also doesn't grow. Seva opens the heart to this knowledge. Seva makes you grow spiritually. So, but the teacher only does seva, and then I feel like my heart is given away to these kinds of teachers. So even if the teacher of Vedanta comes, I am not able to see that it's because of the blessings of these teachers that I am able to be here. That understanding doesn't come. So all these are kakataliya nyaya. It as though happens miraculously, and it is a miracle. This is really the miracle. The ability to pursue this knowledge despite how I feel about it. That is what it is. There's no place for feelings here. The feeling is, is not. The feeling is a warning signal that something needs attention. It's not always correct. It needs to be resolved. The feeling is not a pramana. This is very important. Feeling is not means of knowledge. Feeling is an alerting, like something, I have a painful feeling in the body. Okay, something is wrong with the knee. Stop doing yoga. Go see a physiotherapist. Go see a chiropractor, whatever it is, Similarly, a painful feeling in the heart. Okay, a bubble from the unconscious. Watch it, resolve it, process it. It's just it's something the pain brings my attention to that region, whether it's emotional or physical. The pain is not a means of knowing. It is something that I have to do differently. Again, it is all a cognitive process. And so here it says that, iti evam vyavasayena, because of this desire to know, that has been totally distilled and culled and refined, as though, without effort. Kakataliya nyayavat, akasha phalapathavat, like the coconut falling from the sky and smashing the crow. The crow here is what is that? The body of the samsari. The samsari is smashed into bits. And here, jignyasanti, those knowledgeable ones, the wise ones, dhiraha, jignyasanti means they go on this path of desiring to know. Jignasa mukhyata tusa, because that they have made their processing of their first kind of vairagya into the second kind a priority. But the first kind is also not a bad kind, as we will see in the next verse. Virochana kartaviryaha.
Virochana kartaviryaha.
What? Virochana kartaviryaha.
Virochana kartaviryaha.
Balishri raghavadayaha.
Balishri raghavadayaha.
Virakta rajalilayam.
Virakta rajalilayam.
Tehi tatra nidarshanam.
Tehi tatra nidarshanam.
Yeah. So, one more time. Virochana kartaviryaha.
Virochana kartaviryaha.
Balishri raghavadayaha.
Balishri raghavadayaha.
Yeah. Virakta rajalilayam.
Virakta rajalilayam.
Tehi tatra nidarshanam.
Tehi tatra Pranidarshanam.
Yeah, be careful about not swallowing the long syllables. Yeah. To pronounce everything, long, short. Okay? Yeah. So, he gives some wonderful examples of people who just had jihasa vairagya. Jihasa means desire to give up everything. It was not just a desire for knowledge. But they also, are wonderful examples. Don't think that this is of a lower kind, because you see who are these people. First one is Virochana. Virochana is the son of Prahlada in the mythology, and in the Upanishad, the topic of our Thanksgiving retreat. So in the Upanishad also there is one Virochana, because you cannot say son of Prahlada, because you cannot mix the Purana and this. Just like Yagyavalkya comes in the Puranas and comes also in the Upanishads. So Virochana in the Upanishads is the king of the Asuras. Who are Asuras? Asushu Ramante Yaha Saha. Ye. Asushu Ramante Ye. So the one who rebel in the sense objects and the sense organs. Asuhu means breath. So they live in order to eat. They live in order to go see movies. Not the other way around. Because they are alive, they go see a movie. That's different. Because they are alive, they eat. No, they live in order to eat. And so these are the people who are called Asuras. He was the king of all of them. And then what happened? He was the king of all of them. And then he suddenly, it's not easy to rule Asuras, even if you are an Asura yourself. Because there's a constant mirroring going on, Because they're mirroring all the baddies that you are in charge of are mirroring your own badness. It becomes intolerable. Yeah. See, I'm giving away everything that I'm supposed to teach at the Thanksgiving retreat. So, what should I say? This is an appetizer. And so, you just, it's not a good thing. It's not a very happy thing to be the ruler of all baddies. You have to manage them, and you can't manage them at all. That's why they are called baddies. They are unmanageable. And so he also gave up his kingdom and went to Indra for knowledge. Yeah. Only up to here is the example. He did come back with the wrong knowledge, but we give him credit. We don't look, beyond this. We give him credit that even though he had so many challenges in his life, first of all, he himself was an Asura, poor thing. And then he was the king of all other unmanageable and unmanaged Asuras. How to manage? This is like anarchy. Everybody is, chindi, bhindi means like, let me tear you up, let me tear you asunder, let me bash you up. So he's going on a state tour, in his chariot. So imagine Virochana's life. We have to give him some sympathy here. Forget the book for the time being. Let us just go on this journey. So he's just going to see how the kingdom is. And when the king is going to see how the kingdom is, he's just going in his chariot, everybody lines on either side. Like when Obama comes, everybody waves the flag, whichever country he goes. American flag, their own country flag. And even in America, if he goes to someone, even people who haven't voted for him out of curiosity, they come and line the streets. At least I shook hands with the president, I met the president waved to me. This is what they put on their Twitter feed. This is what life is made up of. This is what is worth living. So, but Virochana, when he goes on tour, nobody comes and even does one namaskar. Why? Because they are busy bashing each other up. This one is bashing that one is bashing another one. These are Asuras, they don't even need weaponry. They just, like one Asura takes hold of another Asura and another Asura and uses each other as a weapon. Bash, throw. And this is the chaos that he lives in, He need not even go incognito, because sometimes the king wears the guise of the commoner to get the idea of how the kingdom is running. Here, nobody notices him even, poor thing. No job satisfaction, because what is he going to do? And no wonder he says, I give up. And Indra was secretly, the king of the Devas, because he didn't have any other role models. Who else to role model after? Secretly, Indra was his role model, because he thought, Everybody stands and, kneels down in front of him. All his subjects, look at what my subjects do. They subject me to this. That's why they're called subjects. And what are they doing to me? And, he's desperate. And so he has his spies on Indra. Yeah. Because he wants to know how to learn from him. He's too proud to go and ask. Of course, after all, he's an asura. Give him credit for what he is. His arrogance personified. Doesn't want to go. So he just gets news. The spies SMS him what Indra is doing. And one day he gets an amber alert, orange alert. What is that? Indra going to teacher for self-knowledge. Virochana also says, I need to go there. You see? Kakataliya Nyaya. Yeah. Like suddenly the crow and the happening to be in the line of the coconuts fall. Correct? Yeah. So it's two unrelated incidents, but really some punya was there that propelled him forward to go, even though he had only jihasa. He was sick of his subjects. His subjects were sick of him. It's a kingdom of bashi. Who wants, who wants to be the ruler of bashi kingdom? So therefore, he just, ran away for self-knowledge. Lived in the Gurukulam for 33 years. Yeah, that's much more than what, any of us can boast here. Correct? Yeah, lived in the Gurukulam, eating dal rice one day and next day rice and dal for 33 years. And then, of course, came back. We are not going there. Let him bask in this credit. Because Narahari is bringing this out that even people like Virochana can potentially become a jigyasu, and even if they don't, they are still to be revered because they made an attempt to gain this knowledge. And then Kartavirya, his name was also, another name was Arjuna, not the Arjuna of the Bhagavad Gita. Yeah, I know it's time for break, but a little bit more, yeah. We started late. So, Kartavirya, son of Kritavirya, who has the very rare distinction, which only Hanumanji has, of appearing both in the Ramayana and the Mahabharata. How can you have, because the two belong to two different eras, different avatars, correct? How can you have someone who survived the Ramayana and features in the Mahabharata? Not possible except for Hanumanji. Hanumanji was old and tired and sat atop the chariot of Arjuna. And most of the time he slept. He only woke up once or twice, that's all. And he just said, I'm too old to fight. Whenever, the enemy looks like it's gaining, I'll make a horrible monkey screeching noise so that they'll get distracted and frightened, because I'll flatten myself into a two-dimensional flag, a victory flag, which you're allowed to have. But the victory flag contained a powerhouse in the form of Lord Hanumanji and his blessings. Yeah. And then, then he made a screeching sound and then he mostly slept because he said, this is very boring war. I liked Rama's, and Ravana's war. That was fun, This is boring, he said. And because that was the Asuras he could see. Here the Asuras had more finesse and development because it was a different era. They hid their badness under a cloak of politeness. Like Duryodhana's people would hold the sword and say, may I? And then go like this. Very polite villains. This is not Hanumanji's type. Hanumanji was like, what is this? Boring. Very boring. All these word of warfare and click, 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 clack, dualism. It doesn't matter, So Hanumanji survived the Ramayana and features in the Mahabharata. And if there is another person who does that, it is Kartavirya Arjuna. Not to be confused with our Gita Arjuna. Kartavirya. Because Kritavirya, the king of the Heya kingdom, yeah. Why? Because the form of greeting was hey, yeah, perhaps. So in the Heya kingdom, this Kritavirya and his wife were childless. So they prayed to Bhagavan to have a long-lived son who was who was practically immortal and who would never get a disease and who would rule very nicely. Very just and wonderful son. So this Kartavirya or Arjuna was born as a result of this prayer, and it is said that he ruled the earth for 85,000 years, the story goes, without having even the flu one day in his life. No health problems, nothing. An ideal ruler. And he too, what does he do? He gives up everything and goes to Dattatreya, a renowned, teacher, an avatara of Brahma, Vishnu and Shiva in one, for knowledge, who's also a teacher of self-knowledge. He goes to Dattatreya and asks for knowledge. So that is the second example. And Balihi. Who is Bali? Bali is the ruler of the Patala, one of the nether kingdoms, nether world. And what happened? Hubris happened. He said, "Oh, I'm the best, east or west," and he had a disease of giving. Kept on giving in order to feel approved, because that's why people generally give. Because you give and you look around, who is looking at this gift? Yeah, who is going to write me up in the paper? Otherwise, you are in the mode of giving. You hold your hand like this and wait till the press comes. Then only you give. Once the person comes with their photo, with their camera or their iPhone, and they are standing there ready, then you say, okay, take. Otherwise, you're just holding it, waiting for the press to come. So usually, and if the press doesn't come, you get depressed. And so therefore, this is what is the human, way of giving. So Bali was like that, giving to gain approval, to gain a following. And Vishnu comes as a dwarf and says, I just want 3 footsteps. Please give me 3 footsteps worth of land. And he says, I have given so much land. What 3 footsteps? Take. And suddenly Mahavishnu, sent to, teach him a lesson, grows. 1 foot covers the whole of the Jagat. Okay? Whole Jagat. And the 2nd foot, all the other lokas, whatever is left out by 1 foot, the other foot. And he says, where is the 3rd foot of land? And Bali knows, this is what it is. Bali was not in the beginning the ruler of the nether kingdom. Later on he becomes, but he's known as that. So Bali knows what is happening, and he says, bless me by putting the 3rd foot on my head. That's the only space left. Means my ego, which stands apart from the other lokas, which stands apart from the earth, which stands apart from everything. Put this ego. So he buries the ego into the nethermost realm, which is where the ego should be. And the ego rules there. That's what it's all metaphorical. So Bali also submitted to Mahavishnu. He need not have submitted. So he is also great. And so Nidarshanam means they become models for us. They become examples. So what is that? Viraktaha. And what is in common with all of them? Rajalilayam Viraktaha. Vishaya Saptami. So with reference to all the sports in the royal palace, the palatial life, the royal life, and all the pleasures and the comforts of the royal life, they just gave up. That much is the example, he says. So they too are exalted. Tehi tatra nidarshanam. So tatra means in this respect, in this regard, they become the exemplified, examples of what? Of notable personalities who had jihasa vairagya. So both of them are actually fine, and he's going to now, in the next few verses, obliterate this distinction that he has made completely. But this is Narahari's way. This is the Upanishad's way. First you distinguish, first portion of Veda, second portion of Veda, Karma Kanda, Jnana Kanda, you distinguish and all that, and after that everything is swallowed up. The distinctions themselves are swallowed up. And so Narahari again is demonstrating Advaita here by obliterating the very distinctions, because the distinctions were for the sake of understanding, and they were a model to locate yourself as a student and to see what is needed in this pursuit, in this quest. And now that has been the point has been made, he's going to swallow up the distinctions and he's going to say, forget about the distinctions, because I will be the one who will give you lessons on Vairagya. And when I am done, you will never say, I don't want Vedanta. He gives a guarantee. All that we'll see after a 15-minute break, just to get up and stretch and then come back. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om. Yeah, no, it's okay. Please make sure, put all your attention on that. Make sure it is running properly.
We practiced it so many days.
Because sometimes in the saving also it